Are you suggesting that someone's trying to make a real-life sequel?
Stab 2? Who would want to do that? Sequels suck.
If the first one's successful, the traditional trajectory is you want to make the second one as quickly as possible. We were still in theaters when we were in prep for the second one.
In this one, it was following the same character, maturing before the audience's eyes, because, Ned was very young when she did the first one.
We got more money to make it. We had Kevin Williamson. We had the same actors.
I was actually signed on to the second one already, so that wasn't a choice. But for me, at that time, to have such a successful film at the beginning of my American career, I had no hesitation about doing the second.
Kevin had a hard job in Scream 2 of surprising the audience again. Now you know what the premise is. You just have to figure out who the killer is.
Sequels come with their own set of rules, which is, okay, now you're famous and now you have the success, and now people are actually imitating you. And there's a pressure on the second one to be as good as the first one. There's a pressure on Kevin to write a script as smart and genius as that, which is probably why the old adage of sequels suck is true, because you end up with this kind of thing that gets laden with everybody's ideals on it, and it doesn't get to be what it needs to be.
Kevin had this great idea for a film within a film, Stab, which was a brilliant idea based on Sidney Prescott's life. So all of Sidney's pain and everything else is dragged into being a genre film.
I think that's what this underlying message of these movies can be, especially with what goes on with Sidney's character. Just because somebody's saying it is not necessarily true. Just because this reporter just has, run with this story is possibly not the truth.
And then Kevin sent us, I think something like 30 pages by email. We read it. It was fabulous. It was on the internet in its entirety that night. And all of you little f***ers out there that think that's really cute, you ruined our next 3 months.
One of the endings definitely was posted on the internet. It's not good, but there's really nothing you can do about it.
I think I just moved to LA months before I got the audition for Scream 2, and there was a lot of secrecy around the script.
I think it was my last audition I was going in for. And they're like, okay, we're gonna send you the script, and you just need to bring it back in an hour. What? I'm probably not gonna be finished with the script. So really, they literally messengered to my home, and an hour later, somebody was knocking on the door to get it back.
So scripts came out and it had this brown swath. It was actually some paper from the tobacco industry to camouflage their memos. You couldn't highlight it, you couldn't mark it, so we had to sit there, you had to specially hold it up to read it in the light. And they held out the end.
I wasn't going to sell them. The secret's safe with me, especially if it had to do with Wes Craven.
That script went through a lot of changes, and I can remember writing sessions when Kevin was already off working on his television show at the time, where we would have 6 people in a room trying to brain check each other, because you get a plot line worked out for, say, the second half of the second act, and then, oh no, we can't because she was there, and you can't, therefore you can't. So it's like, a lot of trying to figure out plot points and things in the middle of shooting, which is another thing that comes from people screwing up your script.
It took a little bit to find our rhythm.
Kevin was distracted. At a certain point, the film was underway. He had to go off and be on his television show. I was writing. There were other people writing. The whole thing of Sidney doing the play acting, all that stuff was written by me.
Probably the scene that is most fun is the opening scene, and how you go in and out of the Stab movie and then the real movie with Jada Pinkett and Omar Epps. It was a real challenge to decide when you were going to go full frame with the Heather Graham moments. It felt like it was Wes's real tour de force of his commentary on the success of the first film.
It was kind of sad to see Omar go so fast. And so brutal, right through the ear, They always have cool opening sequences, but that was the kind of craziest part of the beginning of that one to me.
Stop treating me like glass, Joey. I'm not gonna break.
The interesting thing about Sidney Prescott is the way in which she changes from the first film through the second two. I think in the first movie, she is a typical final girl. She's thrust into this horrible situation. Her friends are being murdered. She is the one who's smart enough and resourceful enough to figure out a way to elude these killers.
One of the best things about Sidney is she does have sex in the first movie, and she still wins. So, you know, you felt like there was an evolution there.
It's nice to see that she's not constantly just a victim, you know. She actually has become really strong and passionate, and I think for horror films now, that's what you need to see.
By the second and third movie, she's developed a backstory that involves her mother and things that were done to her mother. It's not so much that the sins of the mother are being visited on Sydney as it is that the sins committed against her mother are being carried through into another generation.